introduce?
Yeah. So hi, everybody. My name is Kayla. I'm the president of the newsletter club. I'm also the honor student assistant. And a fun fact about me is that I used to live in Ireland when I was younger.
Wow.
That's interesting. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tatiana. I'm the vice president of the Honors Newsletter Club. And a fun fact about me is that I love to act.
And you're good at it. We've seen
Yes.
it.
Because you've been in one of our school shows. Very nice.
Hi, everybody. My name is Matthew. I am the secretary of the Honors Newsletter Club. And a fun fact about me is that I like to draw.
Oh, I didn't know that about you, Matt.
Well, I knew that because you used to sit next to me in class. And all those sketches. So my name is Gavi Goldstein. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Honors Newsletter Club. And I guess a fun fact about me is I recently picked up guitar and I'm trying to teach myself how to play.
Awesome.
Nice.
That's cool.
That's great.
And also, Nora is our club treasurer, and unfortunately, she's not available to join with us right now. But she is also a part of our board. So for Lola and Shilpa, how was your experience last year with online classes? Like, did you like it? Did you not like it? Were your teachers or like professors, were they good with it? Were they not? Like,
it's my first experience in online class. I'm new at RCC, and it's my first.
what about you, Lola? Did you like it? Did you not like it?
I didn't like it because I was used to in-person classes, and when you're used to that and then you have to go online, my attention span I couldn't do it. And it was just not good. I didn't like it at all.
Completely fair. Yeah, I know like a lot of people, you know, it's 50-50. Either they were okay with it or they weren't. So basically what we're doing today is we're just going to try to help new students and returning students because we don't have a choice. We have to do this. Like, we have to be online. So if we can help you in at least one aspect, you know, like, we will be more than happy to do that.
Oh, and Nora's here.
Nora's joining.
Yes, and then there's Nora.
Nora.
Hello.
Nora, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I would. Hi, I'm Nora. I'm obviously a part of the honors program. I'm on the liberal arts and humanities track. I plan to be a history teacher, and I'm excited to be here.
Nice. So is everybody's classes a synchronous class, or do you guys know the difference between them, or? Oh, okay, because over the summer I had to take an asynchronous class, and
I still get confused with that, Gavi. Can you explain that to me? I still get confused. What's synchronous and what's asynchronous? My daughter told me I had it backwards the other day.
Okay, so a synchronous class is one that you meet with everybody in the class. You meet with the professor, and it's possible that the professor is not going to meet twice a week. It depends what the professor would like to do. But it's kind of like what we're doing now. We're having a Zoom meeting, and it's almost it's trying to emulate a classroom environment where the professor is talking and you're taking notes and you're being involved in a class discussion. And asynchronous course is basically removing all the classroom environment, but just maintaining a course schedule with assignments and staying on top of that. So one thing that's tough with an asynchronous course, whereas some people might like that because they don't have to have that schedule of meeting with all their classes and professors, it's tough to stay on top of assignments. And I had an asynchronous course over the summer, and I did enjoy having some leeway with my schedule, but I would have many due dates for a lot of assignments, and I would have to really utilize my phone's calendar and input all my assignments and get them done by the due date. And there's no meeting with the professor. You can send the professor an email, and it's possible they'll respond very quickly or not, depends who. I was lucky to have a professor that responded pretty quickly.
That sounds a little bit harder.
It depends. If you're good at staying on top of your assignments and your due dates, it might be something you would like. But it's also scary. It's a scary thought because you're not meeting with the class. So if you have any questions, you have to type up this whole email and
Yeah.
so
Although, yeah, especially right now, I mean, that's such an important thing. That's so crucial. I mean, it's always been pretty crucial, you know, that you check your email even before this, but especially now because, I mean, I really can't stress this enough for all you new coming students. Like, so much information is going to be sent to your email. I mean, your teacher may post, you know, updates on a class, you know, possible extensions on an assignment, you know, things like if there's going to be class that day, any possible class cancellations, just information in general about the class. Like, you know, if a lot of students were getting tripped up about a detail of a particular aspect of the class, they might send like an email clarifying that. But also, especially right now, I mean, outside the realm of like academics, I mean, a lot of information about clubs and activities throughout the week will be sent over, you know, by your email. And that's really important because, you know, I'm sure as many of you know, it's kind of difficult right now to be like super social, especially when you're just going to class, you're not talking all too much, and you just kind of attend a lecture and then, you know, back to, you know, whatever you're doing throughout the day. So that's definitely a good way to keep your social life, you know, healthy and develop throughout the semester when, you know, it's really not in your favor right now. So definitely check your email for that reason, because you might find something that you like, you know, maybe a new club, hobby, you know, that sort of thing. But yes, your email is a very helpful tool and you really should utilize it. Check it as much as you can, really. I mean, yeah, just try to check it as much as you can because it is so crucial to your success that you check your email and keep in contact with your teacher as much as you can, especially now, because, you know, contact is of the utmost importance, because things may change, you know, so you really just want to make sure you're in the know-how of anything that like pops up or, you know, changes in your classes. And, you know, that's a vital part of just succeeding, you know, just knowing what's up, you know, knowing what's due, you know, just staying current and up to date on anything that's due. And your email is a valuable tool to achieve that.
It's very important to stay on top of your email these days.
Matt, when a teacher wants to reach you via Blackboard, do you know if it goes to your email or is it only in Blackboard messages?
Well, so I was actually about to mention that, actually, you reminded me. So I don't know if it does it via email, although I do know is that I would recommend that all of you get the Blackboard app on your phone, because everything that is posted on Blackboard, whether it be a course message or a new assignment, you'll get a notification. And that is so incredibly helpful because, you know.
I didn't realize Blackboard has an app too. That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And you can just get that from the App Store?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So like with the Blackboard app, you not only you get notified when an announcement is made, you get notified when content has been added, and you get notified when grades have been uploaded.
Wow.
So it tells you, like, every time your professor presses like submit for anything, you get a pop-up notification like calc grade updated, you know, writing content uploaded, like anything.
Right.
Yeah. I don't recommend sending your teacher an email through Blackboard. That's the only thing. Like, they don't get notifications for that, so just don't do that.
Do you guys know why? Because it doesn't go to our email account. It stays in Blackboard. So unless a teacher is going to Blackboard messages, not even just Blackboard, Blackboard messages, they don't see it. So I would much prefer to get it via email so that I see it right away. My email goes to my phone, I see it right away. I can answer right away. So that's from a teacher perspective.
So Lola and Shilpa, do you have the app already on your phone?
Yeah, it's my best friend.
Oh, and Shilpa?
I love it. It's so
No, I
easy.
don't have.
You don't have it? Well, maybe after this event, maybe you should, you know, download it and check it out. Sounds great. I think it sounds great.
Does anybody have any online class that's at all tough in particular, or like is anybody taking a lab or?
Lola, you're taking a lab?
Yeah.
Which lab are you taking?
Biology.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So
yeah, I took
what
all
I could offer. Go ahead.
Yeah, I took Bio 105. I think it'll be fine. It's easier than what it seems, and definitely online. I feel like is much easier to do a lab. But yeah, I really liked 105. It'll be fine.
Did you find it more tough to take the lab online?
No, and I'm taking a lab right now. I'm taking anatomy and physiology and with the lab, obviously, and I don't find it very difficult. I actually find it better because you have all your material right in front of you. If you go to class, I mean, it's a little harder.
Wow. Because I always expected a lab has to be in person.
Yeah, I would have assumed the opposite would be true. Like, well, Teresa teaches labs, so you could tell us, like, why would...
Who's your teacher?
I have, well, for lab, Mr. Rubo.
Okay. Yeah, I can tell you that what we're using for anatomy labs, and it's not the same for other labs, but for anatomy labs is visible body. And I do like that everything is right in that same compact area, so that there's not like go here, then go there, then go somewhere else. It's all right in visible body, and everything is set up in folders so you can access it. You know,
it's much easier.
I think it's a lot easier.
Nice.
Yeah, it depends on like what science lab you're taking, because in the spring I was taking physics, and that was a lot harder online because physics is like, you know, meant to be like hands-on experiments and stuff. So just watching the videos, I wasn't and like what they're trying to accomplish. But now I'm taking chemistry. So chemistry online is a lot easier because it's more like interactive than physics would have been. But with labs, I feel like they kind of fall into the asynchronous course type, just because, you know, like you have a week to complete them. So you got to make sure that you stay like on top of your due dates and don't let your labs fall behind, because those are key to like keeping your grade up in that class, because you might not think it, but labs hold a lot of weight to your grade.
Yes.
And do all of your labs have a practical, or at least one practical?
Yeah,
I think so.
I think, Nora, you probably have two practicals.
Yeah,
one
I
in
have
the
like,
middle.
yeah. Yes, I like two.
I have to tell you, for practical exams, those of you who are going to have practical exams, do not wait until even a week before the exam. You've got to start studying almost from the get-go, or it just piles and piles, and it's just going to be overwhelming to study for it. Think of it as being like a midterm and a final exam. You don't want to wait until a few days before your final to start studying. Likewise, you wouldn't want to wait a few days before your practical to start studying. It's important to study in small chunks over a longer period of time, and review, practice. You know, I can't emphasize that enough when it comes to sciences.
So I have a question about the lab science. So, you know, it was always something that the honor students kind of migrated into the office and, you know, helped with like study together. How is group study you know, going to be handled? Like if students are having trouble, like how can we help the students get together virtually to do like the group study that was always really successful, you know, in the past? I wonder
Well, I know that on a few of my classes in Blackboard, the professors have set up like discussion areas for students just to like ask questions among each other.
Okay.
And then in a few other classes, there has been a student who has created a Discord server.
Yeah.
So that's like another like outside of Blackboard
Okay.
way to communicate with students who are in the same class or like taking the same course just at a different time.
Okay.
There's also the tutoring center. They're still doing online tutoring. I don't know if they're doing like group sessions online or if it's just one-on-one, but that's also another place that you could go.
Right.
They do have drop-in, so I'm assuming that that's not one-on-one.
Yeah.
Because I know the group study was, I think, very helpful for a lot of students when that were having trouble with the bio and anatomy and physiology and chemistry. You know, it just seemed to be an important part of being successful in that class.
Yeah. What I could say is just, you know, reach out to classmates and just say like, hey, like, do you want to work on this lab together? Do you want to like, you know, study before the test? You know, just reach out yourself. Even if your professor hasn't put anything out there for you guys to interact with each other, just do it yourself.
Yeah. And
Hey, how would you do that if you were a student? Do you put it in the chat in Blackboard and say, hey, I'm available, or what do you do?
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, you could do that.
So Matt is in my medieval lit honors class, and what happened was that, you know, a student said, hey, can we do let's do a WhatsApp chat, and then everybody put their numbers in the chat or emailed or texted it to that person, and they set it up. So I think, you know, you don't need your professor's blessing to do that, especially if it's before class or something like that. If you feel like the professor's pretty strict and you can't really talk to them as easily, you can always just try to get that kind of thing going slightly outside of class. But you could also ask the professor, hey, professor, can I have a couple minutes to tell everybody that I'd like to set up a group chat for our class? And, you know, I think everybody should be okay with that. I mean, the professor does not need to join. I'm not a part of any of those chats. That's the student's space. That's your space to work together, to talk, to complain. Anything is fine. But I love that it's happening. I think that's really important.
Yeah, and as our honors, you know, newsletter board, we also have a WhatsApp group chat, which is, you know, it helps us keep in contact.
The reason that I asked is I offered to my students, I said, anybody who wants to reach out to me and be part of like a list, I'll share the list with the other students. And they're like, oh no, we already coordinated. And I was just wondering how that happened.
Right.
And the reason why we talk about WhatsApp is because it's something that you can use across any phone, Android or iPhone.
And it's free too.
Oh, right.
But if you have those opportunities to speak to other students, definitely do it. I mean, this is the time. It's harder because we're not in class. So if you see like somebody set up a WhatsApp group chat, like somebody set up a Discord group chat, and I was a little nervous to say, oh, I want to join, but I realized that's the only way that I'm really going to get to know my classmates. So definitely, you know, take those opportunities.
Yeah, it's for sure more tough with all these online courses with even communicating with your other classmates.
That's great.
Is anyone participating in any other clubs besides, well, if you're in the Honors Newsletter Club, that's amazing. Is anyone a part of any other club? No? Okay, well, I'm not sure how other clubs are meeting. I know every club has their own way of meeting. I know that before classes went online, I was participating, or at least I showed up to a few of the Impulse magazine meetings. And you don't have to necessarily be only a part of one. if you can fit into your schedule and if you can work with the president of the club, you can join more than one meeting as long as you can handle it and stay responsible for what you're responsible for.
So you'll be hearing from student involvement in a week or two about the activation of clubs for this semester. So the Honors Newsletter Club is ahead of the curve. You guys are already meeting. That is amazing. Doing awesome things like this, but most other clubs will not start meeting until week 3 or 4 is the last word I heard. So just stay tuned. Watch your emails for emails from student involvement.
Yeah, they should be having Club Fest.
Club Fest is coming up
soon. Yeah, so that's already, I think, out there that Club Fest is happening soon. But we feel as a club that by the time Club Fest happens and we activate the club, and you're almost into October at that point, and my students are the best. They want to get started beforehand, and this is really an unofficial event that is, to me, it's just shows how special you all are.
So
join as many clubs as you can, like I think Avi said it right, as long as you could be responsible for what you're responsible for. We do find that sometimes students in clubs, they just coming just to get their name on, they just want their name on everything and they're not responsible for anything, and that's not really what we're looking for.
Yeah, try to stay involved in the club. I mean, again, that's the only way that you're gonna get any type of experience. Like Carol said, I mean, some people come into the club and they sign their name on the attendance sheet and then leave. No, don't do that, especially during this time. I mean, really get involved.
Yeah.
I found I was nervous coming into RCC, really, and I was nervous to get involved with clubs. I was always a shy kid, but after I got involved with this club, I mean, I got out of my shell, and it's been really fun.
That's great.
And the great thing about this club too is that it is for honor students. It's about honor students. It's everything honors related. So the students you'll meet in this club are other honor students who you can, I've made some great friends through the honors program, through the newsletter club. Like, it is a great way to meet people, especially now. Like, you're not going to be on campus. You're not going to physically meet people in your classes or meet other members of the newsletter, the honors club or the honors program. But with the club, you can meet so many people, and it's just a great thing to be a part of.
Nora, you brought up an interesting thing, saying that you were shy. I've had a few students saying that they have a hard time approaching their teachers because they feel so shy. And do you have any tips how to overcome that so that they kind of come out of their shell and reach out to their teacher, especially in this situation where you're online?
Yes. I mean, for me, this might be the way that I always envision everything is you have to be an advocate for yourself. So, especially in college, especially in life, you have to put yourself first. I used to, even in high school, I'd be nervous to ask the librarian for help. I mean, it was kind of but you have to realize you're not really going to get any help. Going to financial aid, I mean, if you're having a problem with paying online, whatever it is, you need to contact someone and do it. The best way that I did that was really just giving it a go the first time around, realizing that it's not that hard to reach out. Even if the professor is a little mean, it's okay. Just shoot them an email. You're doing it for yourself. Make sure you put yourself first. That's what I do.
A professor usually wants what's best for their students.
Right.
So people have to realize that, and it can be tough. But if you push yourself the first time, it might be tough. But then you'll realize, hey, the professor wants to work with me.
Yeah, and utilize your resources. I'm doing an internship. I'm a peer mentor, and so I'm like a mentor, but I'm a student. And so I work with this teacher, and I told the students, I'm one of your resources. If you're having trouble in class, you come to me. I have office hours. You can study. So if you need help with tutoring, anything, you have to be the one to go seek that help.
I told my students that when I'm sharing my screen, I can't see their faces. Like right now I can see everybody's faces. But when I share my screen during my class, you have to ask a question if you're confused, because I can't see that you have that
look on your face.
Right. So I'm not going to stop because I'm just assuming that everybody's getting it, or even slow down. I mean, I do at certain interviews say, does anybody have any questions? Is everybody okay with that? You know, I do check in, but if nobody says anything, I just keep going. Because again, I can't see it's so strange in this online environment. I can't see that feedback that facial expressions give you. I don't know. I mean, you have to self-advocate. And I keep telling my students that. I hope they're getting that message.
I think it's a little more tough transitioning. Sorry, Tatiana, do you want to say something?
Oh, no, it's fine.
I think it was a little more tough transitioning into online courses for that. Asking questions to the professor when you see everybody, they have their camera on or their camera off, and the professor's just talking, and you're kind of like, do they see me raise my hand, or do I say something? But I feel that like the earlier you do it, just get it out of the way, and it'll usually other people have the same questions as you.
Yeah.
Or
and they'll be relieved once you like
yeah,
that.
oh my God, for sure. And the professor really does want to work with their students. So
I love questions.
And Tatiana, I think when you were new to RCC, I felt like you were quiet, and
yes, very much so.
Tatiana just blossomed into this amazing student. She was like the lead of a play that we went to see her on stage, and we're like, that's Tatiana up there. That quiet girl just blossomed. So if you just open up just a little bit at a time, you'll be amazed. We're all like just here to support you, and you don't ever have to feel embarrassed or shy. Like I think we did a good job, making Tatiana feel comfortable.
Yeah, definitely. The honors program really helped with that. But what I was going to say before is that I'm pretty shy at first for people. It takes me a while to get comfortable around people. So I have a lot of those issues of going up to teachers to ask questions. But I think the best thing to do is really, especially for anxiety, you have to realistically think of the worst thing that could happen. And see that that's not the worst, it's not that bad. So for example, let's say if you need to ask for an extension, something happens and you need an extension. I mean, obviously don't rely on that, but if the worst thing that could happen is that they can say no, but that's not the end of the world.
Right.
So you have to really understand that a lot of the anxiety and the shyness is worry of things going terribly wrong, but in reality, it's not going to be that bad.
Right.
Yeah, that's great that you realize that and that you hold to that.
Yeah.
It's still very tough for some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's still tough for me, but I think you just have to, like you said, you have to go kind of get out of the way, and then it'll get better from there.
Yeah.
I also found that I just in general, usually the earlier in the semester it is, whether it's usually asking questions or if the class is more of a talkative environment, usually getting that done earlier in the semester, asking question your first few classes kind of shows other students, oh, I can ask questions too. And also shows the professor that students are asking questions, and it kind of opens the course to have more that kind of environment instead of more of the professors just keep on talking. And it's not always easy to change that, to break away from that classes into the semester. So maybe for next semester, it'll be easier if in the first few classes, somebody asks a question. If you be that person to ask a question, you'll find that the rest of the class will change.
Yeah.
And I think another thing too is if you're completely, you don't know what's going on in a class, please, right away try to ask the professor or somebody, even a classmate, questions. Because if you're just lost, and it's, halfway through the semester. That's not a good place to be. So I really, really suggest, trying to ask questions as soon as possible.
It won't fix itself. So you got to ask.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
keep going along not having no clue, what's going on. Definitely ask questions, guys.
Yeah, whenever I interview a student, that's one thing I always mention at the end is once we get started with, your classes, just if you're having trouble, tell somebody, don't suffer in silence, because we can't help you if you don't let us know, or you don't go for help, or it's not gonna go away. Yeah.
Yeah. And it could be tough if nobody else is asking questions or talking and you're the only one, but you could still do it because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Professors usually want you to ask questions and be involved.
Yeah, and I always envision things like, another thing that I do to not be shy, I realize that if I don't ask that question, okay, I'm going to be lost. So if I'm lost, I'm not going to do well on that exam. I'm not going to do well on that assignment because I have no clue what's going on. So just, if you get that simple thing out of the way about like reaching out to people, you probably do much better than you think. So, you'll be.
It's also very likely that you're not the only one thinking that question or struggling with that specific topic, and asking that can really clarify it for other people.
Mm-hmm. And it's really just that first step too. I mean, I know with me, like, even like this year, like first day of class, I was a little nervous, like to ask questions, but as soon as you ask that first question, it's no big deal. And you just kind of like go on to the next one, you get more comfortable as you go on. So it's really, again, just like making that first step, and then the rest really isn't that bad.
It also helps to develop the relationship between the teacher and the student too. And, the students that I remember most are the ones who asked questions and were involved in the discussions and whatnot. It's unfortunate, but the students who just sit and are quiet, maybe they're doing very well, but if they're quiet and not participating verbally, I don't tend to remember them as well as the ones who are more active participants. And when it comes to writing letters of recommendation and stuff like that, you want to have your teachers remember you.
Right.
Yeah, so definitely, like a lot of people don't put on their cameras during, either Blackboard, Zoom, whatever, but try to do it here and there. I understand maybe one day you rushed and, you just woke up for a class, you don't want to put the camera on, but I've been really making an effort to just have my camera on, so at least the teacher sees that I'm here, I'm present, I'm ready to work. So try your best to do that.
And even if you don't want to keep your camera on the whole time during your class, try to make an effort so that you're put a face to the name and to the voice, and really see who they're talking to, and it makes it easier both ways.
Yeah, I think that's important today when you're not going into class physically, that at least your professor could put a name to a face. And like Teresa said, when it comes time for writing their letters of recommendation, if you have developed that relationship, they know who you are, not just a blank, screen with your name across it. I think that has to be so much better, to get that relationship going so that you'll get a good letter of recommendation.
Does anybody have any tips with keeping track of schoolwork and writing notes or something?
Well, that's where I was just going to go with that, because recently, well, now more than last semester, because it was such a rush into the transition, I just kept taking notes the way I normally would. But now what I've realized is that it's easier for me most of my professors already post the PowerPoints on Blackboard. So what I do is I go in and I print out the PowerPoints. I put 3 slides on a page. So there's the 3 PowerPoint slides, and then there's 3 sections of lines of 5, so that I can write little notes next to the slide. So instead of wasting my time copying down every word from the PowerPoints, I can just write down specific things that my professor says are like important to remember about something, And I would just jot down little notes to the side, and then I have the whole PowerPoint next to my notes, and I'm not flipping back and forth, or I'm not going back and forth between Blackboard and a notebook. For me, printing out my notes on 3 slides a page is much easier.
So Kayla, when you go to print, is that a setting where you pick 3 slides per page?
Yeah, so like when you go into like the print settings, it's like 1 slide a page, 2 slides a page. You can go up to like 8 or 12.
But then they get smaller and
It'll get
It gets
smaller.
smaller.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for
3
me-
is always a good amount.
Yeah, 3 works, maybe 4, because 4 you don't get the lines, but there's extra space underneath the slides, just no lines. But for me, 3 works because it's big enough where I can still read it, and there's enough space to write notes on the side.
yes. I found that an effective way to take notes. For most of my classes, though, I'm one of those people that still take physical notes. And it actually helps you, Matt, that it helps me a lot. Even with the online course, just to have my notebook like right next to my laptop taking notes. But that's me personally. I don't know if I don't know how it is to really type up notes, especially when you're also watching the class. Is anybody else doing that?
Yeah,
You're typing up notes? Oh, both of you guys.
Yeah, usually when I watch the lecture or whatever, I'm doing that. Or just to give an idea, like I have an agenda and I plan out my whole day. So I found like as soon as we did remote, I just was like, all right, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the whole week, what do I have going on? What classes do I have going on? And then in between that, do I work? Do I volunteer? Do I do this? So I found that to be such a great way to organize, like just plan your days, especially, I mean, I'm pretty much home every day. I mean, I know a lot of us are, so it's a little easier as when I would go to school and then I'd go here, there, like you're usually home, this is your home base. It's a little easier to keep track of things, but definitely keep organized, guys.
Do you do one day at a time, or do you plan out a few days ahead?
I plan out a few days ahead because, you know all of your classes, and then let's say you work, pretty much what your schedule is. So, yeah.
Right. I think before we started recording this meeting, we actually spoke a little bit in our club with ways to keep track of our courses. And one way that Carol and I agreed is we started using our phone's calendar, and we started even putting our courses on. And I also found that you can set it to repeat each week. So I would set all my courses lined up for the day, and I find it very important to do that these days, and it really helps me keep track of everything I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do sorry.
Go ahead, Tatiana.
No, I was just gonna say I do the exact same thing. Like even before the semester started, I just put everything in Google Calendar, and even like in between classes that I have, I would be working on other things like on homework, or like for me, I'm working on college applications right now. So I kind of have like every hour of the day, most of it, dedicated to doing certain things. But like with that, I think what's really important is that you have to remember that you have to like schedule time for yourself and not get too involved, because what I've been having issues with is that I tend to work too much, and I kind of forget to have free time for myself, and that's not good either. So you want to have a good balance of working on your work, but then also having time for yourself, because if you don't have time for yourself, you're going to get very stressed out and overwhelmed with everything. So it's important to have some time for yourself.
It seems that
Dr. Lynch had just put something in the chat about Google Sheets with a weekly calendar. Excel and Google Sheets are going to be your best friend right now, because Excel and Google Sheets have so many different templates you can go through. You can have weekly calendars, monthly calendars. For me, what I found that works is for all my assignments, most of your assignments due dates are already like in your syllabus. So there's like rough due dates. Your professors can change them. They might change them later on. But what I've done is I entered in all my assignments onto a Google Sheet. And then there's a feature on Google Sheets where you can sort them by due date. So I've done that. I've sorted all my assignments by due date, and I'm just keeping track and checking them off one by one as I complete them. and you can color coordinate them so that you know what's homework, what's a lab, what's a test, what's a quiz. And for me, that works. Seeing the different colors for the different assignments and seeing the list in order of when I need to get stuff done. I didn't do that last semester because I didn't realize that would work for me. But now this semester, I started off with that, and I haven't missed a due date. All my assignments have been completed a few days before they were due because I just check that every day and make sure that, you know, they're up to date so that I'm not missing an assignment and that I have completed what's coming up.
I like that you could sort it by due date because I think that's important. You work on what's due next. You make sure that sounds.
So I have the due
great.
date on there, the class, the assignment type, and if it's completed or not. And I've put check boxes next to each assignment. So as I go, I just check them off. And right now I have this big long line of check marks because I have them all organized and I can see like what I have to do, when it's due, and it works for me. Hopefully it'll work for you, but it's definitely something I can strongly suggest that you try out at least.
Yes.
Kayla, could you share like what it looks like? I'm curious because that sounds awesome.
Yeah, let me see if I can get it right now.
Thank you, Dr. Lynch, for sharing the link to this.
Thank you.
No problem. You guys have great ideas too. I love hearing all of your ideas.
So while Kayla's looking for her document, Shilpa and Lola, do you have any questions for the board at all that we haven't covered?
Tomorrow. That's no. I'm looking at the wrong spot on my calendar.
I think we're getting some feedback from somebody too. I'm not sure who. That's all right.
Dr. Lynch, is there a way that I can share my screen?
Yes, I will make you, hang on one second. I'm gonna make you the co-host.
Okay.
So hang on just a second. Here we go. You now have the power. And one other thing, I mean, you guys have heard such great advice today from our awesome e-board. One other thing I would recommend is make sure you go and talk to your professors. Go to their office hours. Oops, sorry for the banging in the background.
Okay, here we go.
It's pretty important to do that, guys. You'll find that it'll also help you ask questions and it'll become easier from then on, having that sort of relationship with your professor.
And use Blackboard. Blackboard has saved my life. It has, you know, everything there. So definitely download that app.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Kayla, you having any luck?
I'm sorry?
I think Kayla's trying to share her screen, but do you need help at all?
I don't, not sure why it's not letting me. Let me try.
So if you have it open and then you click the share screen button, it should show you that
Oh,
Excel.
yes, there we go.
Nice.
Okay. So this is basically all my assignments that I know of right now from all my professors. So I have this key over here that shows me what each color means. And then it's just all on a list of what I need to do. And then it goes all the way down. I have it all the way into like the end of the semester.
Wow.
And you could just add a line and insert things anytime you want to. And
So
stuff
anytime,
like that?
yeah. So if I have to add something, let's say what's today? The 15th. So I'll do like 9, 15, and Zoom meeting. Then I will go through and then highlight everything, all my assignments, right click, sort range. So it's going to sort by column A, which is your dates from A to Z. So from like September down, sort. And then there it is right now.
Wow.
It gets
I
put
love it.
into
Nice.
my calendar. And then I'll just check it
That
off
looks
because
amazing.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's
I like your check boxes and everything. Is this a template or did you create this?
no, I created this myself. I actually saw it on TikTok of all places.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
This is so great. I love it.
Yeah, this is nice.
So this works for me. Hopefully it works for you guys. You and Teresa, you can, and Dr. Lynch, you can mention this to your students. Maybe it help your students in their classes too.
we have a guest.
I had several students who reached out and they unfortunately couldn't make this Zoom session, but they were interested in having some tips, and I think this would be a very helpful one.
For me, I used to be, pen and paper. I have to write everything down. I used an agenda all through middle school, high school. Even like last year, I bought a calendar notebook just to write down all my assignments. And this, for me, works better than an agenda.
It's awesome.
Great,
I love
Kayla.
the
It's
colors.
awesome.
I love everything.
Thank you for sharing this.
And it's completely customizable,
Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
So I know
Is
a few of you
there-
might, sorry, I've got my dog who really wants to be a part of this meeting. I know there's a few minutes left till 1:30 when a number of you, including myself, probably have a class. Do you have any, does anybody have questions? Such an awesome presentation today, everybody.
Did Shilpa have a question? Did you have a question, Shilpa?
No, I'm leaving. I have a class at 1:30.
Thank you for stopping by today.
Thank you for
Thank you
joining.
so much.
And thank you
Thank
to
you.
all my board for working so hard on this event. I'm glad we were able to record it. Maybe we could share it with other students who couldn't make it, but you guys are the best.
Yeah, if you want, the next time I send an email to the honor students, I'll just include a link to the recording if that's okay with everybody.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Okay,
Well,
thank you so much.
And thank you, Dr.
Likewise,
for sharing.
thanks.
Okay, bye everybody. Thank
No
you.
problem. I'm gonna stop recording now and just have a great rest of the day, everybody. Okay.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.